My parenting style is what some are calling free range. Failure is the key to my parenting style. Kids have to have room to fail to be able to develop judgment.
That was Gail, who has a free-range parenting style, and today we're exploring the question, how does your parenting style really affect your kids? And joining us now is adolescent psychiatrist, parenting expert, and author, Dr. Gayani DeSilva. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. DeSilva. So how does this kind of parenting approach?
So the key about this kind of parenting approach, the free-range parent, is that they encourage their children to behave independently. And I love this parent. She's like the best kind of free-range parent that there is because she's so thoughtful about how to be a free-range parent. She is weighing and balancing out how much supervision to give and how much freedom to give her children to really explore and struggle and meet those natural consequences like you were talking about, and you were talking about of not doing your homework and going to school and having the teacher say, hey, why didn't you do your homework?
What's the downside?
Well, the downside is...
I mean, my brain is going all over the place with what the downside could be, but tell me in your opinion.
So if you're not giving that kind of supervision to your kids, the kids have to do it for themselves. So they kind of have to learn trial by fire a little bit and learn how to parent themselves. So the downside is that they develop these parenting tactics that may not be very helpful.
You mean the kids develop a parenting tactic?
Yes, so
what
they
do you
have
mean?
to parent
Give
themselves.
me an example.
So, for example, if they're on the bus and something happens, some emergency happens,
right?
Well, they don't have their parent to rely on to rescue them from that event. Let's say, I don't know, somebody comes in to rob people.
Or the bus crashes.
Or the bus crashes. Then they're kind of left to their own devices, right? They need to figure out how to take care of themselves, take care of people around them who might be hurt. Maybe they're hurt and they've got to get to the hospital, or they've got to get to somebody else who can help them.
This is the scenario that my brain is going down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As you describe this. So, but have other adults actually come up to your daughter and asked where parents are?
They do, and she has a whole strategy for dealing with that. First off, she tries to discourage it, and she said, well, I try to get people not to talk to me. I said, well, how do you do that? And she says, well, I say hello like a grown-up. I was like, well, how do adults say hello? And she kind of tucks her thumbs in her backpack, and she goes like this, just like, hey. And then if that doesn't work, and they bother her anyway, then she'll say, she has a whole thing. She says, I'm wearing this watch. I can call my mom at any time. She knows exactly where I am. I don't need any help, but thank you so much for offering.
I guess I feel like so much of this, I see the positive impact. The commuting piece is just the one thing for me personally that my comfort level, because heaven forbid anything happened. That is the one thing I would never be able to forgive myself for. And I also wonder, when you're parented like this, and I say this not out of judgment, I'm truly curious, because I have... For a long time, I thought helping my kids when they felt anxious about something was the proper way to handle anxiety. And it turns out that I did the exact opposite of what you should do, and that it exacerbated the situation. And so I'm also curious if this is a situation, it sounds like your daughter loves it. She doesn't want you to ride with her. She's happy doing it this way. But if you feel some level of neglect emotionally because you're being asked to do all this stuff, that scares you.
That's right.
So what do you see in your practice with regard to that when there's too much independence given too early?
So not all children can handle that kind of independence, and it causes a lot of stress in them and maybe depression as well if they're not able to express to their parents, this scares me, or I really don't want to do that. I don't want to be that independent. I really want you to come with me. And if they feel like their parent isn't responsive to that, they could feel neglected, they could withdraw, they could feel shameful, they could feel fearful and very, very anxious.
And you're not seeing any of that in your kids?
No, and I would say with this kind of parenting, as with anything else, a lot of it's in the implementation and in knowing your kids and knowing what they're ready for and staging different things at different ages so that they're not made anxious. I would never make them anxious on purpose. I mean, and I watch them closely to make sure that they are comfortable. There's this concept of scaffolding, where you want to try to give them the next thing that they're ready for without it being too far ahead of their capability. So, you know, to the extent they're challenged, it's like in a teeny, teeny, tiny little bit, and then they're so proud of themselves after they do it.
One more question, you know, because I always hear the saying, bigger kids, bigger problems. So independence when they're young is one thing. Is free-range parenting something that, with teenagers, is something that you should scale back, given what they're exposed to, especially once they do get a phone?
So when they're teenagers need a lot of freedom, of course. And so some of that free range, giving them independence, all that's good, but they should have a touchstone to come back to. So they still need guidance. They still need their parents. So if they have that kind of safety net a little bit, they know their parents are there, then they can go into adulthood without having too many difficulties with anxiety, interpersonal relationships.
It makes sense. I mean, you're talking about structure when it comes to eating and things that are really important for somebody's health, and then being very mindful about how you give your child freedom so that the law of natural consequences is the ultimate teacher. Well, up next, does your child suffer from anxiety? It could be because of this type of parenting style. Find out what that style is when we come back. Awesome. Thank you.
My parenting style is helicopter. When it comes to my girls, if my daughters go anywhere, me or my husband have to be there. If we can't go, they aren't going.
That was Fiona, who describes herself as a helicopter parent. According to a poll we did on the melrobbinshow.com website, this is the most common way people describe their parenting style. Adolescent psychiatrist Dr. Gayani DeSilva is back. Dr. DeSilva, there's a surprising undercurrent to parents who helicopter. What is it?
It's anxiety. It's their own anxiety, and they make decisions about parenting to satisfy their own anxiety and not necessarily what their child actually needs in that moment.
So we helicopter because we're trying to control our own fears and concerns.
Yes.
Okay. So what is the issue that you see in your practice when you're dealing with adults who had parents that were helicopter kind of parents and hovered over everything?
So those kids don't learn how to manage and resolve their problems on their own. So be it doing homework or strategizing or even interpersonal relationships with their friends, their peers. And if parents are always there to jump in and save them from that or protect them from that or keep them from even experiencing that kind of struggle, then they don't learn it. So as they become adults, they have a really hard time figuring it out for themselves.
So what do you do, though, if you're in a situation like Fiona, where there have been a couple bad things that have happened, and now she's completely on edge, and she does not want to be on edge, but it's impacting this hypervigilant way of parenting?
That's right. That confirmational bias that you were talking about before gets encouraged and re-solidified in your brain every time you see something. But we focus on what we want to focus on. So if you have a fear of kidnapping, then you're going to focus on that and trying to save your children from kidnapping. And you're going to miss out, possibly, on giving your kids opportunities to be adventurous, to try new things, and to be successful at those things. And they may not only be successful, but they might actually enjoy it. They might actually spark some imagination or some
Well, the
love.
other thing that I'm concerned about, because your kids are young and you care about them deeply, you're not going to screw them up too bad, right? I was super helicoptery with my children. I'm concerned about you.
Yes.
And your level of enjoyment in life and parenting, given this deep anxiety that you have. And so what does she do, given that this anxiety has really ramped up?
Well, we usually parent the way that we have been parented or according to our life experiences. So what I worry about is that you've had anxiety-provoking experiences, maybe some traumatic experiences. And if you have had those experiences, to really ask yourself, what can I do for me? You're a great mom. You're so passionate. You love your children so much, and you just want the best for them.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And that's your guiding principle. But then where are you in all of this? Because you're so nervous about something bad happening to them. You'll be there. You'll be able to help your children go through something, even if they do suffer some, not so pleasant thing or some uncomfortable situation. You can help them through that, and that's a big opportunity for them to grow and to become resilient also.
Fiona, you said there was one thing that you wanted help with. What is it?
Well, the stress and being overwhelmed sometimes, and you know, you come home from work and you're exhausted and things are not done and they haven't done their chores, and I get to a point that sometimes I raise my voice, and I hate that, and I catch myself right away, but even that small brief moment, I don't want it to happen. And I don't know when to and how to prevent it.
Okay, so two things. One is, in that moment, stop, take a step back, pause, breathe really, really deeply and really slowly, because that will relax every muscle in your body, okay? And it will quiet your brain a little bit, and it'll quiet that anxiety a little bit. Then you ask yourself, am I anxious because of me, of something that's going on inside of me, or am I anxious because of something that's going on for my child or my children? And if the answer is, I'm anxious because of me, take a break. Just step away. Go to the other room. You can even tell your girls, hey, I'm gonna take 5, all right? Enjoy yourselves. And go, relax, sit down, vent to your husband if you need to, get on the phone with your friends, whatever. Just vent and breathe in when you're calm, and you can participate with your children instead of hovering over them, instead of directing them, instead of making them do something. When you can participate, then you know that you're not being a harmful helicopter parent.
Okay.
Okay, so she comes home from work, she's overwhelmed, she walks in. It looks like somebody fired the toys out of a bazooka across the house. And she has that moment where we all want to scream at the top of our lungs.
That's right.
You're saying that is the moment before Godzilla comes out.
That's right.
To take a deep
Take a deep breath.
and literally, like, calm the dragon down. And then ask yourself, am I really angry at these kids, or am I just stressed about my day?
That's right.
Okay. Up next, we'll meet a parent whose child's schedule looks like this. The child says he's exhausted. Mom says, I don't care.
My parenting style is tiger. I'm in contact with their teachers daily. My kids are in extracurricular activities practically every day of the week, but I think it's important for my children to be well-rounded.
That was Carrie, who says her parenting style is tiger parent. We are back with adolescent psychiatrist, Dr. Gayani DeSilva. So, Dr. DeSilva, what I really want to talk to you about, because I got a mom here who seems very balanced and on it, and is a great advocate, but let's talk at a larger level. How much is too much extracurricular, especially in this day and age where we see parents pushing their kids and pushing their kids and pushing their kids?
Well, kids are supposed to enjoy their childhoods. So if you see your child not having enjoyment, if they are too tired, we should listen to that and take a look at, are we scheduling them too much? Are they being pushed too much?
How much is too much?
Pressure? Well, when they start to not be able to sleep, when they start to complain about their appetite, when they start to complain that I don't want to do this, this is too much. If they're whining too much, of course you know your child the best, and it sounds like you are quite in tune with your child. But the truth is that some kids are truly exhausted, even if it comes to something like math tutoring or French tutoring, where you have to use a lot of cognition. And that takes a lot of effort. And if they are anxious or stressed, that's exhausting too.
And, you know, what I do admire about you is that you are really trying to motivate your kids to be successful in school, to take school seriously, to set them up for a successful life. And so how do you balance motivating with the fact that kids are natural manipulators, they're natural slackers, they're natural complainers, they're naturally not going to want to do math tutoring, but they're going to be wanting to play on the Xbox?
Absolutely.
So talk to me.
So some of that, the manipulation and the complaining, I think do have a basis in a real need. Like they really do need your attention and your love and your support, and they do need a break every once in a while. So the way to balance that is to be conscientious of it. And at times, do something that is really playful and really loving and really affectionate and fun, just for the sake of being together, having fun, enjoying that time without tying it to performance.
Yeah, and we definitely do try and do that. We have family time. And we also, I mean, they're busy. They're out mostly every day of the week. But it's like half an hour, right? So my daughter does violin, my son plays the guitar, but it's 30 minutes on a Tuesday. And then I know the research that says, you know, children need the free time. They need that for their brain development. So they have that time too. And
Is that scheduled in? That 30 minutes is scheduled?
Well, it's an hour and a half before they go to bed, right? So they have that time. And I'm not so focused on, you know, colleges or where they go to school. It's more about getting them through, right?
Yeah.
Because statistically, my Black kids are less likely to complete high school, not because they're less capable, but because the system puts these barriers in place for them. And so we're trying to kind of maneuver and work around that. And that's why the relationship with the teachers are so important.
I agree with you. 1,000%. I think it's incredible advice. I have one other thing to share with you that was shared with us when our son started needing extra tutoring when we figured out that he had dyslexia. And I'm not saying that your son or daughter have any kind of learning style differences, but when it comes to tutoring, giving your kid a chocolate milk is really helpful because it gives them extra energy to stay focused when they're trying to sit with a tutor doing more stuff.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, another awesome thing, Dr. DeSilva brought everyone in the audience a copy of her newest book, A Psychiatrist's Guide, Stop Teen Addiction Before It Starts. Thank you both for being here. We'll be right back. Stay with us.